So I am so excited today to welcome the very beautiful Taylor Moon. And it's funny, Taylor, because we had a lovely comment from a lady on one of my videos. And I always read the comments. And she said, Medyhne and Taylor would be great in a show together. And so her name was Belinda Marchant. So here we are. So if you've got any comments of things you want, we read them and we try and respond to them. And, really appreciate that comment. And of course, I'd already connected with Taylor and Steph through Bryce, which, shout out to Bryce for that. And also a big hi to the beautiful Steph as well. But I thought I'd respond to that comment and that I'd get together with Taylor and we'd have we'd have a video. So it's really lovely to connect with you, Taylor. You remind me of me a few years back. And although we're obviously equal, but in terms of age, not that age means anything because we're all soul beings, but you know what I mean. And I just wanted to give a bit of a introduction to Taylor. So she does Beyond Quantum Healing and has a website, and details I'll leave below, which is a hypnosis technique that goes beyond the perceived limitations of traditional and or clinical hypnosis. And also you're renowned, Taylor, for your tarot oracle readings. And we're going to work with the cards a little bit today on what we're going to talk about. We're going to find out a bit more about Taylor, talk about what's happening in Australia, what's happening globally, with the cards and everything. And also being able to find ways to connect with our spirituality to be able to work through this very challenging, intense time that we're going through on the planet, which is also exciting and it's an opportunity, but also, of course, it's very intense and it's quite a ride, isn't it?
Well, it is quite a ride. Oh, thank you, Medyhne. Thank you. Yeah, I felt really connected with you, obviously. It was like a weird energetic hug. I was like, oh, hey, Beautiful. Beautiful. But I loved what you said too, like to your collective and to the people out there. We do read the comments, and the fact that you guys like communicate with each other and help each other navigate. I think that's so important too, because of course it's wonderful to hear our perspectives because we're going through it too, like we really are. But them communicating in the comments or in their chats or wherever they communicate, I think that's such a good idea too, because we felt really isolated for such a long time that so it's true. Expanded. Yep.
Lovely. Yeah. So, with the comments, if people want to share issues or problems they've got and they want to shout out, we're here to support one another. So, yeah, that's a great point. The comments are for that as well. It's a community thing, isn't it? And we had also another lovely couple, Gordon and Larissa, connect with us both. And so that was lovely. So shout out to Gordon and Larissa as well. Taylor, I'd love to hear a little bit about, you and your background so that people can hear about you and your beautiful work.
I get so nervous because when I do BQH sessions, I tend to, even if they have messages come through for me, I tend to like push it back to them. So I have this interesting habit of doing that. But mine was childhood. I had a lot of night terror, night space dream activity. And I didn't know what it was. And, my parents didn't know what it was. And they did the best they could. And at that time, medication was the best, they could do, whatever the pediatrician said. So it was always that, but it was also the extreme empathy to the point of like, I remember specifically my mom ran over the neighbor's cat and I couldn't go to school for like 2 weeks. It was just little things like that just affected me so deeply. And I didn't fit into my family unit. And I'm sure a lot of us are all in that kind of energy, the black sheep, I call it the rainbow sheep, which is cheesy, but like, here we are. That's right. I heard that. But basically I kind of shut it off. And in my early 20s, I followed my career. I didn't really shut it off because I was still really sensitive. Like I felt things really deeply.
It's really hard to shut it down, isn't it? Because it just is who you are. It's your essence.
Yeah. Is exactly right. And I was finding that I was getting offended by everything. I was so sensitive. I would even touch people in the cosmetic, medical, aesthetics industry, and I'd go home with all their stuff. So after my 12-hour shift, I would go home and cry, and anxiety for no reasons. And, my mom, my husband, like nobody knew what to do with me. Like, and I don't blame them.
It sounds like, it's a thing of really being able to put up firm boundaries energetically, so that you're not just like a vacuum cleaner sucking up everything around you.
So my other problem was floating around too. Like some people would be talking to me and I would just, oh my gosh, I'd be on a beach. I'd be wherever I wanted to be to escape. So it also took me this knowing of getting really into, and I told you this before, that present moment. I really had to bring myself into the present moment. Not that it's not good to visualize the beautiful future. We should always do that, but putting myself in the present really helped. But yeah, in my early 20s, I was working at a wax center and a girl wanted to get waxed. And I was like, okay, why does she want to go to me so bad? And I was like, it was kind of weird. Like, like we don't know each other. And she just wanted me specifically. And I was like, okay, this is kind of weird. And as I was waxing her, she was asking me some personal questions. She was like, why don't you want children? Are you a Cancer? Like she just knew too much. Like it was amazing because, she was very loving. Yeah. But she left and she came back and she said, you missed a spot. And of course, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. What can I do? And she didn't even like expose her underarm or anything. She just sat on the table and she's a beautiful being, but she sat on the table. She just sat there smiling at me, and she gifted me rose quartz, I think fluorite, selenite, like just, some stones that I've never had experiences with before. And she lit up the room. I'm talking, it came back online. The entire wax room filled up with like these orbs. I could see the different colors. I could see the energy again. It was like the reactivation. And she just left. And I texted her. I said, did you see that? She goes, I just wanted to make sure you could see it too. After that, I kind of like perpetually gave up everything and I went hard.
Isn't it interesting how you can have like a key person that comes in and just activates all your gifts and your skills, and they just get you on the path? That I think we can all think of a key person like that in our lives where we've had them come in and they've just been a gift from God, really.
Yeah, that's so fascinating you say that too, because it's true. That energy of that person just shifted, yes. Shifted it just enough to just push you up, just a little bit of help, because we're all helping each other up on our highest timelines, right?
Absolutely. I remember when I first got into this, was over 30 years ago, and I had a teacher who taught me meditation, and she said to me, soon you'll be teaching meditation, to groups. And I said, really? I said, I can't imagine that. And sure enough, in a short time, I was teaching the same sort of thing to groups, and she was 100% right. And she helped get me on track. So that was really beautiful. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. So that would be like your person of that shifting of energy just to bring that trajectory up just a little.
100%. It was a key moment because my daughter was 2 and she kept saying all the time, no, I don't want to. And I thought, I don't want to shout. I'm going to go and learn meditation. Because she was really stubborn. And so I went to learn meditation, and that's what the teacher said to me, within a couple of sessions. She said that to me, and I thought, wow, I didn't know that. And then, in a short time I was. So, that it's beautiful how these people are, activated just at the right times to universally come in and just can change your whole life in an instant, with that sort of energy. It's amazing.
Oh, that's amazing. That's so, I just had a little thought bubble pop in, and then I want you to talk about Australia, because it's so hard for us over here because like, the mainstream media, we're so distorted, and I do feel like it's controlled now at this point, but it's so distorted over here. It's like we don't actually know half the time. So I definitely want to hear about that.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Well, we actually, I love to share, because I know it's not going to a lot of places overseas. There's been so much focus on the Ukraine situation and everything, but in Australia we had probably one of the worst disasters that we've ever had in the whole history of Australia in recent times. We had a huge flood that came through, and it affected from the southern part of Queensland right through New South Wales. New South Wales is a huge state, and then right to the top of Victoria. And it came through and it completely flooded whole townships. And people were just all on their roofs wanting to be rescued, and animals just got swept away. And it's just like, it was huge, absolutely huge. I have to be careful how I speak because I know you're so empathic, but it was like the devastation and the trauma, and the way people banded together as a community to join, because really there was virtually no response from the government at all, really. And the ADF didn't come for many, many days, and they would just about quite a few days later, they would come and collect some of the stuff in front of people's yards and things. But right at the time of the floods, there was nobody there, and people had to even hire their own helicopters to get rescued off roofs and things like that. I'll show you an image of this is one of the towns called Lismore, and then all the way down the streets there was just piles and piles of rubbish all the way down, and people lost their houses, their businesses, their cars. Their cars were just all over the place, swept up, and all over, on trees and all sorts of things. I just heard some awful stories about it, and just the amount of mud in people's homes that they had to clear up afterwards, and not being able to get the insurance. In terms of, I've heard that some of the insurance companies were happy to give out some money, but then they would not insure the homes again. So then people have to contemplate, should they move? Now, of course, behind all this was the bioengineering that was very clear that happened with these storms. The storms were right over the top, and I might even put an image in, right over the top of Brisbane and Sydney, like literally right over the top, and in between there was nothing. So it's like obviously very directed. There was a guy in America who studies the weather patterns and things, and he talked about all the chem bombs and things that were utilised. There was a girl in my YouTube channel who talked about, she was in a dam kayaking the day before, and these rays of light came down and one of them hit her leg, and she didn't think much of it, and then she went to the doctor the next day because it started to get like really bad, and she said to the doctor, what is it? And he says, I can't say, I don't know for sure, but it looks like a radiation burn. So and this was on the actual dam in just outside of Brisbane. So there's a lot of evidence that this was bioengineered, and the consequences of this, the repercussions, and the same sort of thing happened with laser fired weaponry when the bushfires happened earlier as well. And there is all the information about the agendas, where they are planning to have cities like in Lismore in 2030 that are smart cities and things like that, right where the flooding was at the worst. Lismore, the whole town was completely covered in water, to the top of roofs and things, and it just huge, absolutely huge. So you probably, if you're listening from overseas, you probably didn't know any of this, but Australia's just been through so much, and we're looking forward to getting to the other side. I was actually asked to evacuate my home, but we felt that we'd be okay, so we stayed, and so we were lucky in that way. But yeah.
Well, it's fascinating you're talking about the bioengineering and the direct energy weapon, and because I'm kidding you not, on Telegram just this morning, it's so weird how this stuff always surfaces, but there's a bunch of people taking photos of someone's from LA and they saw like that energy beam from the sky. So those direct energy weapons, hands down, being used. But it's also interesting, is there something, so Australia's grid, it was pretty rough, wasn't it? Like there was a lot of I'll be careful with the word, dark activity going on over there.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. The state that I'm in, I think, is the best state in Australia in terms of it's got less of the really nefarious stuff. I'm in New South Wales. to me, or I think all the other states seem to be worse at this point. But there's still, a lot of the regulations all in place, people wearing these, and so much of this going on. And my father just had the fourth booster, which all this sort of thing. We've all got to, as people that are aware of what's going on, we've all got family and friends that we know that this is happening to, and how, it's how we are able to integrate this and process it and then transmute it. Because, the people that we love are obviously going to be severely impacted. They're talking about how their health has been impacted since then, but they're not joining the dots, of what it is, of what's happening, because there's a level of, all that programming and the denial and everything like that. So it's very sad. I mean, I don't know how's it all going over there with all the regulations and everything.
It seems like everything over here is becoming like a very obvious political show at this point. And like when I say political theater, like I literally mean theater. But like you said, there are those people that, of course, we're holding compassion for, and we're understanding they have soul decisions to make, but they're not quite connecting the dots. But for me, it's so funny as I look at it up here from this perspective. I'm like, it makes so much sense. They're making it obvious for you now. Like, come on, guys.
This is true. Well, that's the other thing, isn't it? Because you're feeling all the good stuff happening underneath. Like, there's obviously much more arrests happening, and there's all this signaling with, Killary, can I say that word?
I wonder. I don't.
Anyway, I could maybe print it across and edit it out. But she just said she's got, the C word and things like this. So, there's obvious signaling going on. And people with more and more arrests and things. And then, of course, there's all this talk about this new potential quantum financial system that's just about to come online. So what are you picking up with all that? Are you, getting it?
I'm that person who I don't know. So I can feel the energy of it, because actually in a session about a year ago, there was already a higher dimensional aspect of a woman coming in and explaining the system. It was way out of my understanding and realm at that time, but it was enough for her to get the message to me and to the collective that keep saying your quantum bank account is full, because it's like this underlying energy just waiting for this crumble. And it's interesting you're talking too about how much Australia has been through, because think about the fire detox and oh my gosh, that you guys have been through for the people and for that land.
Yes. Absolutely. There's a lot to clear here in Australia, obviously, energetically from a long time, as well as, it was a penal colony as well. So, it's got all that we need to be clearing. And I feel like there's a lot of beautiful light workers here that are holding space for that, which is lovely, but doesn't mean it's not hard work.
Of course. Thank you for your hard work over there. I know I always tell the ones over in Australia, I'm like, you guys are holding the grid. You guys are doing it over there.
That's lovely. We're all doing such an amazing job. All the people that have awareness and all the light workers, and so total gratitude to you all out there that are doing this. Yeah.
I was going to ask you. So I'm such a curious person. Do you think because of the energy of Australia, not only the indigenous energy, but the past cellular data of Australia, they inverted it on purpose because of how much beautiful underlying energy you guys really do have in that area?
100%. Oh. You've got to think about Uluru even, this amazing rock that holds so much energy, birthing energy, I think, of the planet. And the original people here have the most pure DNA, and right from the beginning, and so they have the energetic coding, the DNA that holds the imprint of the purity of the human genome. And so that is something that they really wanted to corrupt and mess with. And, that, as we know, many of the original people here have been very targeted with this. And they don't understand what's going on. They don't know. And our love and prayers and my compassion go to all the original people here, because what they've been dealing with as well. Yeah. And I totally agree.
I like the way you think. I really do, because I see your perspective of, it's funny, you're very multidimensional. I'm sure you already know this, but I'm not trying to tap in. I'm just saying there's this aspect that you're so understanding what the collective and what the collective's going through, but you also have the broader, higher perspective too. But I just think it's amazing that you're able to feel and hold that compassion and empathy for, the collective too, and what people are really going through. Because it's this war. Yes, it's mental, it's spiritual, but there's physical manifestations of it too now,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I personally, and I'm the same as you, I'm very empathic and sensitive, and I can't go into the really, the depths of the evilness or that sort of thing. I may already know energetically, I can tap into it. So I know enough. It's like I feel it. Yeah, exactly. You have your limits of what you can actually really fully get to as a sensitive, light worker, in terms of what information that you're looking. Because I do know on some level everything, but I don't have to sort of look at it to know, because I already sort of know type thing, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So I think Australia is definitely going through a huge cleansing, and I think it is getting better and better, and I think there is a level of awareness happening. How are you finding the awareness is going in terms of like globally? Do you think there's a big waking up happening right now at this moment?
I do. I think so it's like almost like exponential energy. We'd have a few little lights turn on. Not that they're always light and beautiful, but that inner knowing light coming on. But I keep seeing this graph in my head, and they've been explaining a lot of things with this same graph, and it's just like an exponential energy. So there's this energy of, I think there are more people than we even know, or at least people questioning now. I'm really excited about it. I've actually seen a change in my parents, who are very lovely but very programmed people. My mom's, a clinical psychologist. Like, of course, I don't blame you, Mom. Like, I get it. But I've even noticed them questioning narratives. Just like my dad was like, you just can't listen to the news anymore. And he loves Fox News. Like, and so he's like, he's one of those where it's like he, is a supporter of Mr. T and very patriotic, but then the other side of things, he's just like nothing. He got the, it's just punch my mic, sorry. So I've even noticing little sparks, and I keep thinking there's going to be little things for each and every person. For someone, it's going to be their student loans being forgiven, or the bank quantum system. For someone else, it is going to be some truth about, maybe we have some stuff coming out on the news about, the children. So maybe that's for someone too, so what is their thing? And then sparking that exponentially.
I think sometimes too, it has to be like quite personal for them, because like I had a dear girlfriend who she felt very pressured by society, and there's so much pressure here in Australia to have this, so many people losing their jobs if they don't, things like that. And so they're getting all this societal pressure, as well as pressure in terms of financial, their careers and things. And so she went and got to, and her health just went straight downhill. So now she's put the two and two together, and she realizes it has been a depopulation agenda, and that she's really feeling quite angry about it, she said. But for her, it's a very personal story, because she's had to go through that to be able to understand that. Yeah.
Well, that's a good point too. So it was such an emotional, personal issue that surfaced. Yes. It's interesting. There was a session I was listening to a long time ago about a woman who was having the same issues with, that. And what came forward is they were like, she's always going to be on her path. She just chose this path for this experience so that it could activate that. It's like a weird like map of how you get there. It's crazy how that's what it does. Like something that we perceive as bad, which I do perceive it as, fairly negative when I look at it from my human self, but look at how it activated her too. So then we look at that side of things too.
I love the way you think. I love that, because in truth, everything is in divine alignment. Even if it seems to be something that wouldn't be a choice that we would make, that's their soul's journey to get the direction they need to go. And so it's about trusting, isn't it? Trusting the divine plan, trusting. And it's hard to trust something when it looks so negative in the 3D, in the matrix, especially when you're seeing impacting children. We have the highest level of impacts of this on the 5 to 11-year-olds now, the highest level of adverse reactions. And when you see a young child, you think, well, that they were put in that position by their parents or whatever. But no, the truth is, again, it's a soul choice. Even if it doesn't matter what age they are, even if they're a baby, that's a soul choice. And so it's really understanding the universe in a different way, because there is a higher metaphysical thing playing out that can't be seen from this the lower 3D density.
Yeah. I love that you said that too, because I had a session with a woman and she only had her baby alive for like a little bit of time. And, as a mother, you carried and you birthed. But what came through from the child was that I'm so lucky I got to experience those few months. This is exactly what I needed. I needed that energy. Whoa, the density, but this is exactly what I wanted to experience. And it was this beautiful, beautiful message that came through. And, obviously it's very emotional to hear that from a child, because it's just a baby, but it's not. It's a soul. It's a high-dimensional being. Yeah, it was amazing.
So true. Well, I've got a whole story on that as well. But I had a baby who came through, and she passed at birth, actually, and it was on the 9th of 1999. So that number itself is about completion. So she just had to come in for a very short time to complete her karma and complete her journey on earth, and it had so many effects on so many people, just that even though she didn't incarnate fully in the physical, she still came in through me. And so she activated a whole lot of things like unconditional love in a lot of people around her. People were able to release tears and grief that they've been holding on to through that experience. There was so many things that happened through that. And it's so adorable. My son the other day, he got a beautiful I might even put it on the video here. He got a tattoo with her face, and then he had 4 roses underneath, which represented our family members, and her sort of looking over them, watching over them and caring about them, so that's like they're protected and they're watched over, all on his arm. I think it was actually his lower arm. And so I might even share that with his permission. It was so beautiful. And he said it was in honor of this beautiful little baby Georgia who came in so briefly, but had so much impact. And he was born after her. But we got the message that she actually came in. One of the reasons, and there's multiple reasons she came in the way and left when she did, was she actually created a birthing space within me that was of a much, much higher frequency, so that Ryan, my son, could come in with his frequency, which he wouldn't have been able to do unless she made that space for him within my body. Amazing.
Amazing. What a beautiful perspective too. And I'm sure that connection, that connection, I know you know that, but like, the feeling of that connection never fading too. And your son getting that time.
No, I really feel it with me. And one time I wrote a song about her, and my partner was playing it, and she was jumping up and down on the bed, and it was moving. It was like while we were singing, it was amazing. So yeah, she's with us when we want to hear. But I don't also want to interfere. You know, this is another thing, Taylor, because you're so connected to, you know, the other realms. I didn't want to interfere with her journey also on that side, because she's got things to do over there. So when I do connect with her, I like to sort of say, well, you know, if you're not busy over there doing things, you know, I'd love to connect with you, but, you know, I don't want to interrupt what you're doing because you've got important stuff to do over there. So you've got to be mindful of that as well, I think.
Yeah, whenever I have people's so I'm very careful about, I call in higher selves, and then I call in like soul family, ancestors, or if they, you know, they have a galactic family, like lovingly welcoming in the galactic family. But sometimes I'll have these really high dimensional galactic beings come in, and I'll be like, do you have time for this? Like, are we cool? Like, you know, because you're right, they're so busy. Can you do this?
What do they say when you say that?
Most of the time they're very like, so what I've noticed about like ninth dimension to, I'd say like I'm gonna say like 9, 10 galactic beings, ninth dimension, 10th dimension galactic beings. They're very blunt, very straight and to the point. They're very loving, like you can feel it, but they're always very straight to the point. Like one time I remember specifically this one, I don't know if it was Andromedan or Octarian, but they were blue. I remember seeing them. But they said something like, she knows. She already knows the answer. Why is she asking these questions? She's a healer too. Why did she go to you? She can do this herself. And I was like, that's what I told her. And it was, you know, it was great because I was like agreeing with the being, but, you know, very blunt, but like very loving too. So it's fascinating how things from different perspectives with this blunt shortness that was so loving was also just this huge affirmation of how much she already knew and how connected she already was to all these aspects of herself. So it's kind of crazy how that works.
Beautiful. It's just a reminder, isn't it, that we already have it within us anyway, all universal consciousness. Yes, true. The galactic beings, I think that they're making more and more contact with everyone that's open to that and ready for that now, aren't they? And I have a girlfriend whose grandson had a visit by some, you know, galactic beings, and he was quite sort of a bit in fear afterwards because he was so unusual and everything. But you know, this is something that's going to be happening more and more now, isn't it? With the frequency raising and when do you think that like, even though we're having individual experiences, when do you think there might be like a collective sort of contact?
Ooh. I love what you said though, because the individual experiences, because you're absolutely like, that's what's been coming through from my side of things too. I'm sure you're getting the same thing, that if you're ready and open for the heart center connection, that is there for your star family, if that's what resonates with you. And same for the people who, you know, have Lemurian connections or Atlantean connections, or, you know, you're just an elemental, like you're starting to really, really feel, but also understanding you're not just those things. You're also, you've been from other star systems. It's crazy how many experiences a lot of these people have. But once they're ready to speak to the family that's ready to come through, absolutely. So as far as from a level of the humans being ready, I mean, I wonder how you feel about this. I don't claim to know. I haven't tapped into this, but wouldn't you feel like it needs to be after an energetic shift for some of the humans?
Yeah.
Like a big energetic shift.
Oh, so true, because what's going to happen is anything that you have unhealed within yourself, any soul wounding, is just going to be totally magnified when you come into their presence, because they're such light beings and so full of love and high vibrational energies that will just amplify 100% anything within you that is not like that. And so we do need to be relatively whole and sort of solid and healed on some level before we're able to be in that energy and be able to deal with it, be able to cope with it, because so much that we haven't dealt with would be triggered by that. And you know, I had a visitation, and it was really beautiful actually. They kissed me on the head. I thought that's so me, that they're talking to me in my language. It was so sweet.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Isn't that sweet? I thought that was
just lovely. A nice good night kiss
on the top of the head.
That's so sweet. Yeah. I want to ask you, so in your healings recently, so what I found recently, and I want to see, and I'm sure you align with this too, what I found recently is people aren't necessarily getting their questions per se answered, but they're getting clarity and affirmation about things they already were feeling. So they already knew. So basically all my sessions recently have been a big, beautiful affirmation. Of course, if anything extra needs to come forward, it comes forward, but a lot of like that divine timing, very soon, trust yourself, you already know, those broader perspective of things. And the main issue that I've been seeing is people not trusting their own inner knowing recently. They want like looking here instead of out there, which of course, like you're going to look out there, don't get me wrong, but this runs the show versus this runs the show, right? Absolutely. What are you seeing?
Oh yeah, definitely. So they're really wanting to empower us to be fully empowered and sovereign beings within ourselves. That's right. So then they're not going to just come and go, well, A, B, C, D, these are all the answers, because it's like, well, that's again come from an external source, and it's not teaching you how to go within and do it yourself. So that's their whole message. Absolutely. Because that's going to be what creates the ascension and what raises our frequency and brings us up. So totally agree with that. Totally agree. We're on the same page with everything here. I'm talking to myself.
I know. I was like, I don't feel like it's funny because I would say something and I was like, she already knows, but I guess we push it. We push it out there. Right. Because I feel like the thing is that people are also, and I'm curious if you feel this too. So we have these expectations about what our gifts should be and how our third eye should be activated, or how we should see, or what our gifts are, what real gifts are. I can't even tell you how many claircognate, like people that just feel and just have that already knowing, people that don't realize how you don't have to see images to be one of the craziest, strongest light workers, light warriors, intuitive psychic beings. We have so many expectations, and it's like, no, you guys are so psychic. Oh my gosh.
You know what? I heard too that sometimes if you don't actually see things, it means you have a stronger faith, and you don't need to be shown because you have that. Yeah, and that's in the heart. So that's actually a really good sign, because they don't have to visually show you because you already get it. But I do think, what was the point you were just making as well with what was the point you were just making then? There was something else I was going to say.
Just basically what I've been seeing is their gifts. Like they have these expectations about how their gifts should look.
Absolutely. And I agree with that too. So it's like, that is the ego in a sense, trying to create answers for you. And that's the old 3D matrix of wanting to be in control of everything. And so when you raise in your frequency and you go into the fifth dimensional and upward, you have to release that feeling of needing to be in control, which is ego related, and just sort of being in the synchronistic flow of the universe. And I have a lot of clients presenting to me at the moment, and they're saying, look, I don't know exactly what I'm meant to do, but for some of them I'm getting that it's not actually going to present itself till we're in higher and higher frequencies, because there's going to be new things appearing that we don't know about now. You've got something to say on this, I can tell.
Like drop. No, same retweet. Same.
Yeah. So they're wanting sometimes to have answers on what specifically, but it's like, because we're not in that frequency yet, there's all these incredible new areas that are going to open up, to do with, sound and frequency and sacred geometry and, color and everything, where we'll be working with all these things, but they're not actually, because we're still in the 3D matrix, really, so that we haven't been able to have them presented yet. It's sort of in the sense like the galactics won't fully present themselves till we're in the right energy. It's the same sort of concept, because you have to be at that energetic frequency in order for that to happen.
They're not going to let us force fit these roles or these positions, are they? Because like you said, the energy has to match it. And it's funny because I always used to have this feeling of like what's in here, like in my head and the things I imagine and I see, like it doesn't really match out there. What I've been like feeling recently is that is actually going to begin to slowly, but not so slow that people think, like, I don't think things are moving as slow as like people think they are. I think there's a perpetual energy going on right now.
Totally. I think there's quite a momentum. Yeah.
Yeah, that exponential energy, it keeps coming up for me. I'm like, okay, let's go.
It feels to me very amplified now and quite accelerated. I mean, all the stuff going on in the you know, we won't mention starting with you. Oh, I don't know if I mention it over there overseas. You know, all that stuff relating to that is amplifying and really accelerating the whole process of the ascension. Yeah,
like a time bomb. I'm trying to be careful, but like, you know, like not like that it's negative, and I meant like in a, you know, energetic time bomb.
Yes, that's right. It's moving everything along. So I thought maybe what we could do, Talia, is pick a few cards for the moment now that we find ourselves in, like globally, and maybe even some few cards for Australia. And I want to tell you, I've got this beautiful deck, and this is the first time I brought my cards out for a while. But this is called Angel Love. It's really beautiful, and I want to say these cards came to me in the most amazing way. I put out to the universe, I really love some beautiful angel cards. And, you know, there is this thing that with tarot cards, it's really good if you can receive them as a gift. So I put out to the universe, I want these cards. And I went to sing, because I sing, and I went to sing in a pub. And this lady was listening, and she took a few photos, and so she got my contact details. And then she ran. I spoke to her because I wanted to get the photos. And she said, oh, look, I've got a gift for you. I was cleaning out, and I've got a gift for you in my house. This was this box of cards, angel love cards. And then so I went around and she gave them to me. And then after that, it just, I think she moved or something, but I never saw her again. Or maybe she was just an angel that came in and gave me the cards. But they just appeared just after I asked for them. And they are so beautiful, really lovely. They've got a sort of a beautiful, as well as a high frequency, there's sort of something about them that is, it's old worldy in a good way. It's like, you know, it's got the ancestral sort of old energy. It's but a positive old energy that's helps us to reconnect right back. You know, it's hard to explain. I don't know if I'm using the right words, but you know what I mean. Heart, yeah.
It feels it, yeah. Oh, I was gonna ask you, so okay, yeah. So I wanted to tell your audience too. So I just flew myself across my bed, and I have like crystals and stuff across my bed, and I grabbed my angel today, and that was the first thing I thought of whenever I knew I was going to be. It was the wings mostly, but that's so cool that we had that energy exchange.
That's right, absolutely. Because I love working with the angels. That's my favorite thing. I love fairy energies. I even like mermaid energies, but I particularly working a lot with the angelics at the minute, which is lovely. Yeah. So
it's the best, I know.
It is gorgeous, isn't it? So shall we pick some cards? Maybe shall I start picking one for Australia?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
And oh wow, that's pretty cool. Ecstasy. Wow. So that's the polar opposite pretty much to what we've been going through here, you know, and it's like the quantum universe. They'll give you one extreme, but it's not that you miss the other one. You have to receive the other one, because if you go to one extreme, it's got to balance out in the other direction. You know what I mean? So the opposite to the trauma and the stress of what Australia's been through is ecstasy. So that is bliss, it's celebration, it's freedom, it's liberation. And so that's extremely exciting. I wouldn't have expected to pick such a card. That's amazing, really amazing.
Also, can they find, because I was in the bathtub literally thinking about, I was in the yellows and the oranges, you know, the sacral and the solar, and that divine feminine, divine masculine energy, and I was feeling it, and I was like, I feel like we all just need to reignite some like fire or passion within us. And I was thinking about what that means. And that word ecstasy is so perfect, but it's like, also, how can you find ecstasy in your life, even when the outside, you know, at this time feels tumultuous? What is that ecstasy, or going back to that passion for you right now, you know?
Absolutely. That's so important. It's like I've done that previously in my life, where I've been going through a really hard time and I've wanted to bring in joy or bliss. And so I've gone and done something to raise my frequency and to just sort of say the affirmations, I'm in my joy, raising my frequency. And then I brought in a different reality through, it's not like pretending, but it's like holding the frequency of that, even if it's not happening, so that you can bring it in. And I've done that before in my life, and it totally works. Yeah.
Mine's like that feeling of like whatever it is for you, like that feeling of going to a concert, or if you need to go to a beach, like where do you need to be, visualize it, but don't just visualize it, feel that energy, and then you pull that, like you were saying, pull that energy with you into your quantum into the quantum space, into reality. Yeah, you're amazing.
Oh, thanks. So are you. We're gonna have to do this again.
Let's go. Yeah, see you soon.
Lovely.
Is there anything else you want to pull for Australia?
Oh no, that's fine. Would you like to pick a card for Australia?
Sure, I would love to. I would love to. It's so weird. I was telling Medyhne this too for your team. I was telling Medyhne that I haven't picked this deck in a really, really long time. So I thought that was really, really interesting too. But I got very interesting mirroring energies. So I got peace, the creation of egg, the dove coming in. So that could also affirm that liberation energy you were talking about, but also finding your own inner peace. And then we got milk and honey, which would kind of mirror the ecstasy. These are the little joys in life. Of course, the rainbow right there, almost like the rainbow coming in to assist. So that quantum energy coming in to assist, that divine energy coming in to assist. I think Australia is about to, it's like birth something new, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And do you think it's going to happen here sort of prior to a lot of other places in the world? Like we'll be one of the first? Is that what you're feeling?
Yeah, because wouldn't you guys need to start that trajectory of that energy?
Absolutely. Because I've heard that, I mean, even the sun births first around Byron Bay in the world before it goes anywhere else. Yeah, it's amazing. So it actually hits the coast there first before the rest of the world. So it literally, the sun comes up here first on the planet, and then also metaphysically, yeah, I think when you think of Uluru, that they talk about the originals, the energy emanates from there first, then it goes out through Australia, then it goes to New Zealand, and then it goes across to the rest of the planet. Very interesting. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's very positive. Yay.
It looks good. Hey, well, and also, even though right now we're feeling all this stuff in the collective too, like, well, how do you want Australia to look? Like, the people want to be liberated, they want to be free. So keep seeing that too for the people over there in Australia too, because you guys deserve it.
And I think energetically there's been a feeling of people being suppressed here, like that tall poppy syndrome, where people can't really shine or they get pushed down. So it's really cancelling, tearing up, burning all belief systems and transmuting them, that you can't be this incredibly amazing being that's shining at your greatest potential. I mean, this is what we all want here in Australia to be. And so that tall poppy syndrome that has been cultivated by the dark to suppress us and keep us really in our lowest form needs to be transmuted. So everyone, I think, I encourage them to do work on that as well. And I know recently I did an interview, and I chatted about the floods, and somebody sent me a really negative comment about it, and it had a tinge of that tall poppy syndrome thing happening. I could feel that. So yeah.
Isn't that funny how like something will trigger something, and then it like just pops up in the surface, and instead of the shiny light popping up, and this is okay, this happens to everyone gets triggered, everyone has to move through it, it's just how you move through it, right? But they pop up those sides of the self too the second they haven't looked at something too. So I could see how the dark could use that. But that hanged man energy that you guys have been in, I think of how many people probably needed some rest too.
Yeah.
Or inner time for the self.
Oh yes, because keeping so busy as people do, they're escaping going inside and looking within. And I think, in Australia we have all this beautiful weather, and you can go outside and you can do all this sport and you can do all this stuff. But again, it's taking you away from, really going in and developing yourself on that internal level, which is what we all need to do right now. Yeah, yeah. I've got a card for globally, so I thought I'd share that with you, and it's so apt, obviously, as they always are. Companionship, isn't that beautiful? So it's like us all unifying as one family globally, coming together and understanding there is no separation. That different races, different genders, different religions, it doesn't mean anything in the big picture. We are all one. We are all the family. We are all, it's a companionship of joining together, uniting. And also that is what's going to really transmute the darkness quicker than anything else, is when we all come together and unify our energies. And we are collectively so incredibly powerful. I know it's like a cliche, people say it all the time, but it's so true. So just what we're doing here, we're connecting across the globe and having this beautiful time together, and that companionship is so important for us all to work on right now. And if you can't, I have people saying to me they feel isolated. If you can't connect within your community around you with like-minded beings, go online and do that. I mean, I'm thinking of setting up a Patreon community as well, where people can connect together as well. So, there's all sorts of things like that you can do. And so just encouraging everyone to, find their tribe and connect.
Oh, yeah. I feel that so deeply too. And a lot of people are craving that too, because, we've been through so much. A lot of us who, have been watching things since, a long time ago, plus all the stuff that's came out the past 2 years. I mean, think about how lonely that journey could be. So there's also this other aspect of it, of where now we've been forced to be alone with ourselves, relearn what we love about ourselves, maybe watch some things in our life fall apart, like,
Yes.
fall away for the highest good. And now here we are with this space of newness, of empty newness, not in a bad way, but empty in a way that, like, I want that friendship. I crave that. I want that kind of friendship or connection or that kind of relationship or that kind of job. And it's all readapting to here. It's so weird. I feel like this shift, however it manifests energetically for the highest good, it's so here, isn't it? Like, it's all.
Oh, and some people might not have experienced that, that heart sort of bliss before, or that real joy. So it's also like imagining, through their creative faculties of our imagination, how does that feel? What could it be? Because you're recreating a new reality for yourself that maybe you haven't ever had before. And so how does that feel at an emotional level? How do you visualize it at a mental level? And then together that joins together in the center, which is the heart, and that's the manifestation point. So yeah,
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's a great idea too. Like, so like, of course I'm seeing like cliche, and it's interesting you were talking about the sun, but if we feel the energy of the sun or that warmth of the sun around us, start to bring it into the heart center. But it's also like, sorry, I just lost my thought because I just pulled cards. Hold on. I'll just read my cards before that thought leaves. So I got go the distance. Like, also look at, so it's always like the energy is most difficult or you're most tired right before the finish line too, right?
Like a marathon.
It is like a marathon. It has been a marathon.
I know. So many people saying, "Oh, I'm tired." Oh. So listen to your body. Have lots of sleep. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Don't be hard on yourselves right now. Like, that's another thing. Letting go of course, as we're doing this energy of like letting go of timing and time and things like that. I've also had a lot of people have sleep stuff. So a lot of people aren't sleeping very well. They don't feel rested, or they're sleeping so much because they need the sleep. Let go of the old human ideas of sleep, because your body's taking in light codes, energy, like take it easy on yourself.
Exactly. Our bodies have their own intelligence, and they will tell us what they need, what it needs. Just got to listen to your body. It wants to communicate with you, but you just got to listen. So yeah.
It's so funny because at night I've been like having the night sweats. Like, it's always around the same time, and I'm having night sweats, and my cat just sits with me and he watches me sweat, and I'm like, at least you're here. Like, I'm like, I'm not going to be able to sleep, so I'm really thankful that my cat's there. So you just look at the beautiful things whenever we're letting go of all these old ways of doing and being.
Exactly.
And expectations we have for the self too. We're so hard on ourselves. We need to love ourselves a little extra now.
That's so true. So true. As you would do to like your best friend or your child, to think of how you would treat them and treat yourself that way. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so right.
Well, it's just been such a beautiful, energetic, sharing as well. You've got such divine energy, such a gorgeous shining light. And it's really a gift to be able to connect with you and to talk in all these things that I think are so fantastic to share, and then we're on the same page at the same time. So I just love it. So I hope people enjoy, this connection. I really love to do it again, Taylor, as well. And I'm going to leave your details below. If people want a session with myself or with Taylor, all the details will be below. I'm also going to offer a 10% discount for anyone that is watching the show. So there's an active coupon code at the bottom that people can use. Just a huge thank you, Taylor, for everything that you're doing on the planet, and so much love. Thank you.
Thank you, Medyhne. You're the best.